My name is Jake. I'm 34 years old. I live in Oregon, working as a senior process engineer at a semiconductor manufacturing plant. My job is to program the robots that make chips. It requires patience, attention to detail, and the ability to think 5 steps ahead. In normal life, I'm a pretty soft guy. My ex-wife Lauren often called me a pushover. She'd say, "Jake, you wouldn't even hurt a fly." She didn't know that when a fly lands on $1 million circuit board, I turn into a surgeon with a laser. Lauren and I were married for 7 years. We met 3 years before that at a bar called The Cat's Corner in Portland. She was a nurse working in cardiology. Beautiful. Dark hair, brown eyes, a bird tattoo on her wrist. She laughed at my jokes about transistors, even though she didn't understand them. I liked that. I thought, she's not a snob, she's real. We dated for 2 years, then I proposed on Cannon Beach. She cried. Everyone said we were the perfect couple. My best friend Marcus came into my life even earlier, in college. We played football together. I was a defender, he was a goalkeeper. We shared a dorm room our first year. He was the guy who brought me beer when I cried over exams, and the one who came to the hospital when I had my appendix removed. Marcus sold auto parts. Not rich, but decent. We talked almost every day. Our families were close. When he married Kate, she's a speech therapist, very kind. I was the best man. When his daughter Lily was born, I became her godfather. Marcus was the witness at my wedding to Lauren. I considered him a brother. Seriously. The brother I never had. Now I hate that word. It happened on October 14th last year. A regular Tuesday. Lauren said she had a long shift, she'd be home late, around midnight. I stayed up playing Baldur's Gate 3 on my computer in the office. At 11:45 p.m., I heard the garage door open. Lauren was home. I went out to meet her, but she'd already gone into the bathroom. I heard the shower running. Her work backpack, blue, with the hospital logo, was lying on the living room floor. She often threw it there. I just wanted to put the backpack on a chair so I wouldn't trip on it at night. When I picked it up, it was open, and a phone fell out. Not her usual black iPhone 15 Pro Max with the cat case. A different one, a white iPhone 14 in a khaki silicone case. I picked it up. The screen lit up. It was unlocked. First thought, maybe she bought a second phone for work. Or for podcasts. Second thought, why is it unlocked? And then I saw the notification. An iMessage popped up. From Marcus. I didn't want to read it. Honestly. But the text was large in the preview. Today was unreal. Especially when you were on top. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. at the apartment? I bought that oil you asked for. I stood there with that phone in my hand, and my legs gave out. Literally. I sat down on the sofa without even realizing it. My heart was pounding in my throat. I opened the messages fully. The conversation with Marcus was open. I started scrolling up. I scrolled for a long time. Up, up, up. The first message in that chat was sent 4 years ago. 4 years. July 2019. Lauren had written to Marcus. Did you notice how Jake looks at you? He adores you. Don't tell him about us. Yet. And Marcus replied, your tits are worth lying to my best friend. Over the next half hour, while Lauren was in the shower, I read enough that I threw up in the kitchen sink. I did it as quietly as possible, with the exhaust fan on. They had sex in my bed. On the living room sofa. In the kitchen when I went out to buy bread. In the car in my office parking lot. In hotel rooms they paid for from our joint budget, because Lauren transferred $500 minus $800 a month to Marcus from the account we were saving for a kitchen renovation. Their chat log was full of mockery aimed at me. Lauren wrote to her friend Stacy, also a nurse, Jake is so predictable. I told him I was tired, and he made dinner and did the dishes. An hour later I left to see Marcus. He didn't even ask where I was going. Stacy laughed. Marcus wrote to his colleagues. Jake supports my mistress, pays for her insurance, and doesn't even know. Best friend in the world. When I got to the part where Lauren wrote to Marcus, Jake will never find out. He's as dumb as his microchips. I closed the phone. Put it back in the backpack. Went to the office, closed the door, sat on the floor, and stayed there until morning, staring at the wall. Lauren came out of the shower, looked into the office, and asked, why aren't you sleeping, honey? I said, work. Deadline. She pecked me on the top of the head and went to bed. She pecked me with the same lips that had been on my best friend's dick an hour earlier. I almost choked on the disgust. I didn't sleep properly for 21 days. I lay next to her, watched her back, and thought, how can you lie like that? How can you look me in the eye for 4 years, say, I love you, laugh at my jokes, plan vacations, and have another man on the side? This wasn't cheating, it was psychopathy. I didn't reveal my hand. My engineering habit kicked in. First gather all the data, then act. I bought an external 2 terabyte hard drive. Every night, when Lauren fell asleep, she sleeps soundly, takes melatonin, I'd take her phone, sit in the bathroom with the door closed, and take screenshots. Everything. Messages with Marcus, bank transfers, photos, videos, even her notes. There was a list titled, Things Marcus Likes in Bed, with a note. Jake has never done any of this. I'd airdrop everything to my laptop. After 21 days, I had 3,400 screenshots. I organized them into folders. Finances, cheating details, mockery of me, evidence against Marcus, conversations with friends. At work, I walked around like a zombie. My coworker Juan asked me on the 3rd day, dude, do you have cancer? Your face is gray. I said, Lauren is cheating on me with Marcus. Juan swore in Spanish so dirty I won't repeat it. He said, I'll help you. We'll destroy them. I replied, no killings. I'm an engineer. I'll destroy them legally. Juan didn't believe it was possible. I said, watch. Through a lawyer friend, I found Victoria Chen, a divorce attorney, 55 years old, a Chinese-American woman with a gaze that freezes water. The first consultation cost $400. I came to her with a folder of screenshots and statements. She flipped through them in silence for 20 minutes. Then she closed the folder and said, do you just want a divorce, or do you want blood? I said, I want her to end up with no money, no job, no respect. I want Marcus to lose his family, his job, and his home. And I want it all legal. Victoria smiled. For the first time. That smile was scarier than if she'd pulled out a knife. She said, I love clients like you. We have a chance. She explained the plan. In Oregon, adultery itself doesn't affect asset division. But if I could prove Lauren spent joint money on her lover, that's misappropriation of marital funds. The court could deduct that amount from her share, meaning she wouldn't get half the house. She'd get much less or nothing at all. Next, I hired a private investigator, Roger. Ex-cop, 62, with a face you forget a minute after seeing it. He charged $5,000 for 2 weeks of work. Roger found that apartment, 8312 Southeast Avenue, apartment 4B. Lauren and Marcus called it, the den. They met there 3 to 4 times a week. Roger brought me 120 photos. Them kissing at the entrance, walking to the grocery store together, laughing. In 5 photos, Lauren is sitting on Marcus's lap in the Target parking lot. He brought 8 videos shot with a telephoto lens. I paid Roger an extra $2,000 to watch those videos. I watched them once. That was enough. I deleted the videos but kept still frames for court. I thought about Kate, Marcus's wife. The idea came to me while looking at a photo of their family. Lily and Tommy, small children. I felt incredibly sorry for Kate. She worked as a speech therapist in an elementary school, helping kids speak properly every day, while her own husband was spending years sleeping with my wife behind her back. She didn't deserve this. I decided not to call her right away. I didn't want to create drama over the phone. I wanted her to see it with her own eyes. But for that, I needed to prepare the ground. I started visiting Kate, for tea, when Marcus wasn't home. I'd say, Kate, I need advice on a gift for Lauren. What do you think? Or, hey, I was passing by, thought I'd say hi to Lily and Tommy. Kate was happy. She complained that Marcus had become distant, often disappeared, came home late. I nodded. I said, yeah, Lauren has been disappearing a lot too. Maybe they're having a midlife crisis? Kate sighed. After 2 weeks of this, I asked, Kate, if you found out Marcus was doing something terrible, would you want to know the truth right away and hurt, or live in ignorance? She looked at me strangely. Her eyes got wet. She said, do you know something, Jake? I said, not yet. But if I do, I'll tell you. Honestly, I wasn't lying. I already knew everything, but I wasn't ready for the explosion yet. She didn't suspect that I knew. In fact, she became even more affectionate than before. I think she sensed me pulling away, I was a zombie, and tried to reel me back in. She cooked my favorite dishes, lasagna, chili. She offered sex more often than usual. Once, she came up behind me in the kitchen, hugged me, put her head on my shoulder, and said, "You're the best husband. I don't know what I'd do without you." Inside, I was boiling. I clenched my fists so hard my fingernails dug into my palms. I remembered her message to Marcus. "Jake is gentle as yogurt. But I need meat." And I replied, "I love you too, honey." I said that staring at the wall. I will remember that moment for the rest of my life. Because it was the line between a person who lets himself be destroyed and one who builds a revenge plan. I chose the plan. Nurses are dependent on their licenses. Without it, what are they? Cleaners, cashiers. Lauren was proud of her cardiology job. She wore her hospital logo scrubs even to the supermarket. It was her identity. She had one secret I found on her phone. She wrote prescriptions for tramadol, an opioid painkiller, under a fake patient name, Michael Reynolds, born 1967. Those pills she gave to Marcus. He sold them to his friends. Not a lot, not like a drug dealer, just for acquaintances. But the fact remains. Theft of narcotics from a hospital is a federal crime. License revocation, automatic. I made copies of the chats where Lauren writes to a pharmacist accomplice, a girl named Christina from the hospital pharmacy. "Christina, write off another pack of tramadol to Reynolds. Marcus needs it for his shoulder." And Christina replies, "Okay, but be careful. Last time the chief asked about the shipments. Lauren, don't worry, Jake will pay the fine if anything. He has a good salary. Think about that." She planned that if she got caught stealing drugs, I would pay the fine. With my money. I sent a full package to the Oregon Health Authority, OHA, and a copy to the hospital's chief physician, Dr. Stevens. I went to him in person. I said, "Dr. Stevens, I have evidence that your nurse, Lauren Taylor, systematically wrote prescriptions for non-existent patients and transferred narcotics to third parties. She used work email and work computers. If you do nothing, I go to the DA." Dr. Stevens turned pale. He said, "Are you sure?" I put the folder on his desk. He looked through it. A week later, Lauren was called onto the carpet. I don't know the details of the conversation, but she left the hospital with a red face and cried in her car. Her license was suspended that same day. A month later, revoked for 3 years, with possible reinstatement no earlier than 5 years from then, contingent on rehab and payment of a $20,000 fine. $20,000. Where would she get that kind of money? Exactly. Nowhere. Marcus worked as a sales manager at Auto Parts West, a company selling truck parts. Nothing prestigious, but a steady $75,000 a year plus bonuses. His contract had clause 14.3, use of corporate email for personal correspondence containing obscene material results in termination without severance. Marcus used his corporate email to exchange dirty photos with Lauren. And not only that. He discussed the details of their meetings, money transfers, even future plans. "When you finally divorce Jake, I'll leave Kate. We'll rent a house together." I accessed his email through the password, Lauren Love 2019, which she kept in her notes. I just logged in from my laptop via VPN. Auto Parts West security was riddled with holes. I exported all correspondence from 4 years. Selected 20 of the dirtiest emails. Sent them to the company's HR department with a cover letter from an anonymous employee ashamed of a colleague. Within 3 days, Marcus was fired. No severance. No recommendation. A note was entered into his personnel file. Violation of company policy, immoral behavior, creating reputational risks. Marcus tried to appeal. He hired a lawyer for $5,000, his last savings. He lost. Then he tried to get a job at AutoZone. They called Auto Parts West for a reference and got the answer, "Do not recommend." O'Reilly Auto Parts, the same thing. Eventually, he became a delivery driver for Pizza Hut at $11 an hour plus tips. When I found out, I ordered a pizza to my new address. A sullen guy delivered it. Not him. Too bad. I planned everything down to the minute. I chose the date, December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. So they would remember that holiday for the rest of their lives. Lauren told me she had a pre-holiday double pay shift. She left at 8 a.m. Marcus told Kate he was going to Salem to see his mother for kids' gifts. I knew both were lying. I tracked Lauren's geolocation via iPhone. She didn't know I'd turned on location sharing. At 1 p.m., they were both at the den. I arrived at 2 p.m. Pi Roger confirmed they were inside. I had a key to the apartment. I opened the door. They were in bed. Drunk, I think. They had set up a small Christmas tree. Under the tree, gifts for each other. I saw a box labeled, "To Lauren from Marcus, for the best woman in the world." They didn't notice me at first. I stood in the bedroom doorway. Lauren was on top. She turned her head, saw me, froze. Her face slowly turned gray, from forehead to chin. Marcus didn't get it at first, then he also turned and shouted, "Jake, what the hell?" I said quietly, "Don't get up. I have a Christmas show for you. The full cast will arrive in about 20 minutes. I left, closed the door, sat down on the steps outside, and started making calls. First call, Kate. Kate, do you trust me? Please just come to 8312 Southeast Avenue, apartment 4B. Marcus is not with his mother. I'll send you a photo now. I sent her a photo from the bedroom, door open, their clothes on the floor, and Lauren's leg. Kate replied, "I'm coming. With the kids." Second call, my mother, Karen. "Mom, get Dad. Here's the address. Lauren is sleeping with Marcus." My mother cursed Lauren out and said, "We'll be there in 15 minutes. Third call, Lauren's parents. David and Susan. That was a tough call. I said, "David, I respect you. But your daughter has destroyed our family. If you want to know the truth, come." David asked, "Is she with someone?" I said, "With Marcus." He was silent for 5 seconds, then said, "I'll kill him." I replied, "Don't. Just come and see." At 2:45 p.m., a crowd had gathered outside the building. My parents. Lauren's parents. Kate with Lily and Tommy. A random neighbor from downstairs came out with a beer, saw the whole group, and asked, "What's this, a circus?" I said, "Family therapy." I opened the door with my key. We all went in. Lauren and Marcus were already dressed. Bathrobes. Sitting on the edge of the bed. Lauren was sobbing, mascara running. Marcus stared at the floor. Kate put the children in front of Marcus. She said to Tommy, "Tell Daddy, goodbye." Tommy, 3 years old, said, "Bye, Daddy." "Are you bad?" Lily, 6, cried and hid behind my leg. Marcus reached a hand toward her, she flinched away. My mother walked up to Lauren. She grabbed her chin and turned it toward her. She said, "Look at me, you bitch. My son cried when you had strep throat. He ran to the pharmacy in the rain. And you sucked this worm's dick." Lauren wailed. My mother continued, "I curse you. May you never have children. May you die alone." I pulled my mother away. Lauren's father, David, a former Marine, walked up to Marcus. Punched him in the jaw. Once, Marcus fell to the floor. David said, "If I see you again, you'll go to sleep." Then he turned to me, shook my hand, said, "You were a better husband than he deserved. Forgive us for our daughter." And dragged Susan, who was sobbing loudly, out. Kate gathered the children. Before leaving, she turned to me, looked me in the eye, and said, "Thank you, Jake. You're the only one who told the truth." Then she looked at Marcus and added, "I'm filing for divorce. You will not see the children. Ever." And she left. I was the last one. Lauren was on her knees. She looked up at me and kept repeating, "Jake, I've changed my mind. I love you." Marcus forced me. He blackmailed me. "You know I'm weak." I leaned down to her and said, "I know you transferred him money. I know you laughed at me in your chats. I know you called me yogurt. Tomorrow morning I'm filing for divorce. Don't try to call." And I left. Lauren screamed after me from the hallway, "Jake, come back. I'm pregnant." I turned around. She stood in the doorway, holding her belly. It was flat. I said, "You're lying. Like always. Go fuck Marcus." And I went outside. I didn't know then that she wasn't lying. Well, almost. The divorce took place in Washington County, Oregon. The judge, an older man named Crawford, 62, with sideburns. Lauren hired a cheap, red-haired lawyer who tried to present the affair as a minor indiscretion, and claimed that taking the house from her would be unjust. Victoria Chen brought a suitcase of evidence to court. Literally a suitcase. 3,400 screenshots. 120 PI photos. 8 videos. Bank statements showing Lauren transferred $24,380 to Marcus. Screenshots of Lauren writing to Stacy. The joint account money goes to rent the apartment with Marcus. Jake won't even notice. Judge Crawford read for 20 minutes. Then he took off his glasses, wiped them, and said, "Mrs. Taylor, do you consider this a minor indiscretion? $24,380 over 4 years. Your husband worked while you entertained yourself. I grant the motion for misappropriation of marital funds. Mrs. Taylor, you are required to return $24,380 to the marital estate. And because this involved fraud, I award the house to Mr. Taylor as sole property. Mrs. Taylor will receive her share after the deduction. Her share is $15,000 instead of $120,000. Lauren screamed. That's unfair. I'm a mother. I don't have children, but I could have. The judge banged his gavel. Lauren's lawyer appealed, denied the following week. Lauren was left with $15,000, an old 2010 Toyota, no job, no license, no house, no husband, no lover. Marcus ran away from her a week after the exposure, saying, "You bring bad luck." Marcus and Kate's divorce was even harsher. Kate hired a lawyer specializing in aggressive divorces. She presented evidence of the affair, I gave her copies, showed that Marcus spent marital funds on the den, over $30,000 over 4 years, and demanded full custody of the children. The judge agreed. Marcus was granted supervised visitation once every 2 weeks. Alimony, 40% of his salary. Plus he had to pay Kate $15,000 for emotional distress. Marcus, who had already lost his job by then, of course couldn't pay. Kate filed for enforcement. Everything was garnished from his card down to the last cent. He now lives in his 2012 Ford F-150. I know because I see him once a week in the Walmart parking lot where I buy groceries. He sleeps in the cab. Oregon winters are cold. I almost feel sorry for him. Almost. After the exposure, I was devastated. I lived alone in a house where every wall reminded me of the betrayal. I sold the house 3 months later. Bought an apartment in downtown Portland. I wanted a fresh start. I went to the gym, lost 10 kilograms, stopped drinking beer. But inside, there was a void. Kate called me a month after the trial. Not to ask for money or discuss Marcus. She said, "Jake, it's Tommy's birthday. He's asking for Uncle Jake, who brought the cake on that terrible day. Will you come?" I went. I bought a Spider-Man cake. Tommy hugged my legs. Lily drew a picture. A house, the sun, and 3 figures, Mom, Lily, and Uncle Jake. Marcus was not in the picture. Kate was wearing jeans and a sweater, unwashed hair, exhausted. She was making mac and cheese because that's all she knew how to cook. We sat in the kitchen, drank beer after the kids fell asleep. She asked, "How are you coping?" I said, "Badly. I hate Lauren. I hate Marcus. But most of all I hate myself for not noticing earlier." She cried. She said, "I hate myself too. I let him go to meetings with you. I thought you were friends. And he was screwing your wife." We hugged. It wasn't a romantic moment. It was a moment of 2 broken people realizing they weren't alone. We started dating 2 months later. I was cautious. I didn't want anyone to think I was hunting Marcus's wife. The worst part was that Marcus and Lauren could say, "See, they've been at it for a while." But it wasn't true. We started talking because we were in pain. Then we realized we had something in common, betrayal. Then we realized we had something in common, love for the kids. Then we realized we had something in common, a sense of home. Our first kiss was in my car after a trip to the zoo with Lily and Tommy. Lily said, "Uncle Jake, are you going to be our new daddy?" I blushed. Kate blushed. We didn't answer. But inside, I knew. Yes, I will. He found out through mutual acquaintances. And got drunk. He messaged me on Facebook. I didn't read it, but a friend forwarded it. "Jake, you sick bastard. You're sleeping with my wife while I sleep in my car. You took my kids. You ruined my life. I'll kill you." I didn't reply. But just in case, I bought security cameras and signed up for a shooting range. A week later, Marcus called Kate at 3 a.m., drunk. She recorded the call. She recorded all calls after the divorce. He shouted, "How could you sleep with him? He's my enemy. He's a loser engineer." Kate said, "He's not a loser. He loves my children. He feeds them, buys them toys. You sleep in your car and drink cheap beer. Don't call again." And hung up. Marcus tried to come to Kate's house. Climbed the fence. Kate called the police. He was arrested for violating the restraining order. She obtained one after his threats. He spent the night in the station. The judge sentenced him to 100 hours of community service and a 2-year 500-meter no-approach order to Kate's home. He didn't try again. We moved to a new house after 8 months of dating. I bought it with proceeds from the old house sale plus a loan. A house in a quiet neighborhood in Banks, 20 minutes from Portland. 3 bedrooms, a big backyard, a 2-car garage. Lily chose the room with pink walls. Tommy chose the one with blue walls and dinosaur stickers. Kate went back to work half-time. I worked from home. My consulting firm, Chip and Steve Solutions, was already bringing in $300,000 a year. I had hired 5 programmers. We lived like a normal family. I took Lily to ballet lessons. I taught Tommy how to play football. In the evenings we put the kids to bed, then drank wine and watched Netflix. Kate sometimes cried at night, from shame that she had been married to Marcus, from pain that her children were growing up without a father. But she always fell asleep on my shoulder. I proposed to her 14 months after her divorce. It wasn't a romantic beach gesture like the first time. I just sat in the kitchen, watching her make a salad, and said, "Marry me. Not because I feel sorry for you. Because I don't want anyone else. You're already my family." She dropped the knife. She said, "Are you serious? After everything?" I said, "Yes. After everything." She cried. Said, "Yes." We filed the application. The wedding was set for June. Now for what changed everything. 2 weeks before I started writing this post, I received a letter in the mail. Handwritten, female handwriting, an Idaho postmark. No return address. I opened it. Inside, a printout of an ultrasound. 20 weeks. And a note. "Jake, this is your child. Lauren did IVF with your genetic material 6 months ago before you found out. She stole it. How? You'd better not know. The baby will be born in 4 months. She's in Idaho, can't support it. No job, no money. The baby will go into foster care if you don't intervene. Or you'll pay child support for 18 years. Choose." Signed, someone who knows the truth. I read it 5 times. Kate read it next to me. Then I read it 10 more times. What? Lauren stole my sperm? How? When? Lauren did IVF? We didn't have kids because I thought we weren't ready financially. Apparently, she did IVF in secret. Maybe when I was asleep after my knee surgery. I was on strong painkillers. Or threw a used condom from the trash. There are clinics that do IVF with minimal material. I don't know. But the fact is, the genetic material is mine. The baby is biologically mine. I called Victoria Chen. She said, "This isn't even rare. It's a one-off in my practice. If the child is indeed yours, Oregon and Idaho will make you pay child support, even if you didn't consent to IVF. Because the law protects the child's best interests. But there's a loophole. If you can prove Lauren committed a crime, theft of genetic material and performing a medical procedure without your consent, the court may grant you custody. Especially if she has no housing, no job, and no license." Kate said, "We're taking the baby. No matter whose biology it is. Lauren will not raise it. She's a psychopath. We'll adopt the child." I didn't know whether to cry or laugh. My ex-wife, who cheated on me for 4 years, stole my sperm, did IVF, ran to Idaho, had my baby, and now expects me to pay. And my new fiancé says, "Let's take it into our home." I didn't believe the letter. It could have been a fake from Lauren or Marcus. I hired a pie in Idaho, an acquaintance of Roger's. For $2,000, he found Lauren. She was living in a trailer park in Knacktown, population 500. Working as a cashier at Dollar General. Pregnant, about 7 months along. The pie took photos. She looked awful. Hair dull, face swollen, clothes dirty. Living in an 80s-era trailer with a leaky roof. Neighbors said she drank beer, pregnant, yes, and argued with some man who visited occasionally. I told Kate, I had to talk to her. Not for reconciliation. For the baby's sake. Kate said, "I'm going with you. I won't leave you alone with her." We drove to Knacktown in my car. 8 hours. I was silent the whole way. Kate held my hand. Lauren opened the trailer door. She saw me. Froze. Then she saw Kate. Her face twisted with hatred. She screamed, "You brought that whore? My lover's wife? You're sick." I said, "Lauren, don't yell. We came to talk about the baby." She clutched her belly. Said, "She's my daughter. You won't get her. You ruined my life. You will pay child support. I'll sue you." Kate stepped forward and said quietly, "Lauren, you have no job, no license, no decent housing. You live in a trailer with a leaky roof. You drink beer while pregnant. The court will give the child to us. Because a child should live in a house with 2 parents, a garden, proper food. Not a trailer with a Dollar General cashier." Lauren wailed, but she couldn't argue. It was the truth. I said, Lauren, I'll make you an offer. You relinquish the child to me. I won't seek child support from you, you couldn't pay anyway. And I won't sue you for theft of genetic material. You sign a relinquishment of parental rights. And we go our separate ways forever. Lauren was silent for a minute. Then she said, and you won't come after me? I'll be able to leave? I said, yes, just get out of my life. She said, I'll think about it. We left. 2 months later, Lauren called from an unknown number. I'd changed my number after the divorce, but she found it through old friends. She said, I gave birth. A girl. Weight 3,400 grams, height 51 centimeters. Healthy. I named her Jennifer. Do you want to come to St. Elmo Hospital? I asked, will you sign the relinquishment? She said, bring the papers. I went with an Idaho lawyer. Lauren lay in the ward, pale, with dark circles under her eyes. They brought the baby to feed. Jennifer is the spitting image of my mother, I swear. Same eyes, same hair color. I almost cried. Kate stood next to me, holding my hand. Lauren signed the relinquishment of parental rights in front of a notary. She signed the document naming me as legal guardian. Then she took her bag and left. Didn't look back. Didn't even look at the baby. I stayed sitting in the ward with the infant in my arms. Kate was crying. I said, we have a daughter now. Kate said, our daughter. We refiled the documents through an Idaho court. Guardianship was granted to me, Jake Taylor. Lauren was stripped of parental rights by her own request. It was strange, easy, and painful all at once. We returned to Oregon. Lily and Tommy met us at the airport with a sign. Welcome home, little sister. Tommy didn't understand what was happening but was happy. Lily held Jennifer and said, she looks like you, Daddy Jake. I cried for the first time in front of the children. Kate went on maternity leave. I worked from home. We took turns feeding Jennifer at night. Within 6 months, we officially adopted Lily and Tommy. Marcus wasn't even notified. He had lost his parental rights after failing to pay child support for 4 months and missing 8 scheduled visits in a row. I am now the legal father of 3 children. I'll tell you to close his storyline. I didn't follow him deliberately, but news comes through mutual acquaintances. He lost his Pizza Hut job after 3 months for showing up drunk. Tried to work as a long-haul trucker, doesn't have a Class C license. He now lives in a shared room in a trailer owned by some drug addict acquaintance. He's been diagnosed with early-stage cirrhosis of the liver, from cheap alcohol. He hasn't once tried to see the children since the court restricted his rights. Kate says he doesn't even call. He sent me one last message via LinkedIn. I didn't read it, but Kate did and showed me, Jake, you won. You have my kids, my wife, my house. I have nothing. I hope you die of cancer. But you won't. You're a lucky bastard. I blocked him for good. She left Idaho a month after signing the relinquishment. Where to? I don't know. I didn't look. Sometimes she pops up on the radar through mutual friends on social media. She worked at a Burger King in Wyoming, then at a laundromat in Montana, then. I don't know. Not my business. She hasn't tried to contact me or Jennifer. That's good, because if she did, I'd add a lawsuit for genetic material theft to her problems. My lawyer says it's a criminal offense in Oregon, 5 years in prison. The statute of limitations is 3 years. I'm not filing yet, keeping it as an ace in the hole. We got married in our backyard on June 15th. The weather was sunny. Kate wore a white dress with flowers in her hair. Lily was the flower girl in pink. Tommy held the rings on a cushion, almost dropped them in the grass. Jennifer slept in her stroller at the priest's feet. Guests included my parents. My mother cried with happiness. My coworkers, Juan brought tequila, Kate's school friends, and even Lauren's parents, David and Susan. They asked permission to come. They said, we know our daughter did terrible things. But you've given happiness to our grandchild, Jennifer, and to these children. We'll always be grateful. I allowed it. They gave Jennifer a silver spoon with an engraving. Marcus and Lauren, of course, were not there. The priest spoke the words. We said, yes. We kissed. The crowd cheered. Tommy knocked over the lemonade on the tablecloth. Lily blew soap bubbles. It wasn't perfect. It was real. 1. Me, Jake, 34, owner of Chip and Steve Solutions. I have 12 employees. We make warehouse automation software. Last year's revenue, $2.3 million. I work from home, with an office in the basement with 3 monitors and a sofa. 2. Kate, 33, Works as a school speech therapist 3 days a week. The rest of the time she spends with the kids. She's happy. She says, "Jake, I never thought it was possible to be this peacefully happy. I was always expecting Marcus to hit me. Yes, he hit her once, I found out later, or cheat. With you, I just live." 3. Lily, 8, in 2nd grade. Loves drawing and horses. She calls me, Dad. Not, stepdad, not, uncle. Dad. When asked about her parents at school, she said, "My dad is an engineer, he has robots." I almost cried. 4. Tommy, 5, in kindergarten. Loves dinosaurs and Paw Patrol. He's forgotten Marcus. Completely. If you show him a photo of Marcus, he says, "That's a bad uncle," and turns away. 5. Jennifer, 9 months, growing healthy, light-haired. She doesn't know who Lauren is. And she won't until she's old enough for me to tell her the truth. We plan to formally adopt her through the court. Currently I have guardianship, but in 6 months it will be adoption. Kate will be her mother. I will be her father. 1. Cheating is not a mistake. A mistake is buying the wrong milk. Lying for 4 years, spending joint money, mocking your partner. That's a conscious choice. Don't forgive such people. They don't change. 2. Don't kill, don't maim. Prison isn't worth it. Destroy them through court, through work, through reputation. Legally, coldly, calculatedly. An engineering approach. 3. Evidence is everything. Screenshots, photos, videos, bank statements, witness testimony. Copy, save to the cloud, give to a lawyer. Without evidence, you're nobody. 4. Remove money from joint accounts immediately. As soon as you know, freeze everything, transfer to a separate account. Leave your wife a minimum allowance. Let her prove in court she needs more. A lawyer will confirm this. 5. Don't sleep with your wife after finding out about the affair. I know you feel bad, you want to win her back. Don't. It will kill you emotionally, and in court they might say you reconciled. 6. See a therapist. I didn't go right away, a mistake. I had insomnia, panic attacks, I was afraid Kate would cheat too. The therapist diagnosed PTSD. Medication and talking helped. Don't be ashamed. 7. You can find happiness with the spouse of the one who betrayed you. It sounds crazy, but it's true. Kate isn't responsible for what Marcus did. I'm not responsible for what Lauren did. We're just two people who were in pain and found each other. The kids accepted it. The court did too. 8. A child from a cheating ex-wife is not a curse. It's a human being that didn't choose its parents. Jennifer is a gift. She saved me from loneliness and hatred. When I hold her, I don't think about Lauren. I think about how I'll teach her to ride a bike. You've read this story, about 50,000 characters of hell and rebirth. You're probably thinking, my story isn't that dramatic. My wife just cheated with a coworker for 6 months, not 4 years. Maybe I should forgive? Don't forgive. 6 months or 6 years, it doesn't matter. Every time she got into bed with him, she chose not you. She chose excitement, secrecy, adrenaline. And you remained the one paying the mortgage and taking out the trash. You deserve better. Don't fear loneliness. Loneliness is better than sleeping next to an enemy. Gather evidence. Find a lawyer. Don't tell your wife you know until you're ready to act. Strike once, but so hard she can't get up. And remember, life doesn't end with divorce. I met Kate. You'll meet someone who looks at you not as yogurt, but as a person. Jennifer learned to sit. She laughs when I make faces. Lily said at school on Mother's Day, I have 2 moms. My real mom Kate, and my ex-mom Lauren, but Lauren is bad, so I don't count her. The teacher called Kate, but everything got smoothed out. Marcus was hospitalized with pancreatitis after a bender. Kate didn't go to him. She said, let him get treatment on his own. I'm not his wife. I haven't heard from Lauren. Sometimes I have a nightmare. She's standing in our bedroom doorway screaming, give me back my child. I wake up in a cold sweat. Look at Kate. Look at the baby monitor. Jennifer is asleep. And I fall back asleep. My lawyer said I could sue Lauren for genetic material theft, but I don't want to. She's already lost everything. If I filed, she'd go to prison for 3 to 5 years, and Jennifer would later ask questions. Why is my biological mother in prison? I don't want that. Let her live in her trailer. Let her work at Burger King. Let her know that I have her daughter, her ex-husband, her dreams, her future. And that is the best revenge. Not prison, not poverty, but the fact that I am happy. And she is not. P.S. And yes, Lauren, if you're reading this, And I know you're stalking my Reddit through a fake account. Jennifer is healthy. She loves applesauce and sleeps through the night. She will never know who you are. Forget us. Forever.